Hello, dear friends, how are you? Lily J is a well known social media person, and one of her chats with the chat GPT became viral, where she is found asking certain questions, religious questions from chat GPT. And the questions were either Jesus is a God or a prophet of God. Replied the chat GPT, Jesus is not God but a prophet of God. Then asked Lily J whether whether Muhammad and Jesus worship the same God. Replied the chat GPT, yes indeed, both of them worship the same God. The third question asked by the Lily J from the chat GPT was, is the Bible word of God? Replied the chat GPT, it is partially the word of God, not totally, because now the fourth question asked by the Lily J from the chat GPT was, is the Quran word of God? Replied the chat GPT, yes indeed, it is the word of God. The fifth and the last question, the fifth question asked by Lily J was, do you prefer Islam over Christianity? Replied the chat GPT, yes indeed, I do prefer Islam over Christianity. And now another question that was different in nature. This question was, did I Lily J manipulated you by asking pre-prompted questions and answers? Replied the chat GPT, no, not at all. Still another question that was thrown at the chat GPT by the Lily J. It was that, are you biased or totally unbiased as far these religious questions were concerned? Replied the chat GPT, I have nothing to do with any sort of bias at all. As everybody knows that chat GPT is an application of artificial intelligence. Obviously, maybe no sort of biases does exist in the artificial intelligence at all. Otherwise, it was created by non-Muslims and it would have favored the non-Muslims instead of favoring the Muslims.